speaking about the Black Lives Matter movement.
This Twitter's gonna kill me.
No, because I think it's a point where you said, like, obviously, some people may disagree, but I think the majority of us can agree that, like, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives do matter. But why do you think there's a backlash to the movement, or why do you think people are turning off to the Black Lives Matter movement?
I think that
even black people.
Yeah. So several reasons. I think that first of all, let's just make a clear distinction between a simple statement of the English language, Black Lives Matter, as three words, like black, me and you are black.
Yep.
We both live because we're breathing. Yeah. And I think we both like matter because, like, in the sense that, okay, life isn't meaningless. I believe life has purpose, and therefore, like, your life matters. A stranger's life matters. Maybe not to me, but in general, like, they exist. They're there for a reason. So we should just treat each other with respect and just not think it's okay for someone to be harmed for no reason. Anyway, going on to that. So that's the statement. The movement is something which seems to be expanded to a lot of different areas. I went onto the website and I read the I forgot the name. It's like what it's about section.
Yeah.
And it contains a lot more than that simple what that simple statement suggests that it should be about. So it includes stuff about destroying and dismantling the patriarchy and stuff like that. So now we're going on to gender. We've moved away from black.
Yeah.
And we moved on to additional things, which I don't want to sit here and say what I'm for and against and all this other stuff. I'm just saying that if your movement is called one thing and it includes all these other things, it's misleading, and there's some reason behind that. Let's explore that. And then looking at one thing that confused me at the time, there's like around the George Floyd thing, is that killing. Sorry, not thing. I don't want to trivialize it. Was that there were a lot of GoFundMes and donations and campaigns set up, and I kept asking my wife, I was like, what is all this money going towards? What, something's bad happened, and immediately I think so it means that it's a trend to make a fund to set up, and so you donate and you feel better that you're supporting. So what am I supporting? So I went on to read what I'm supporting, and then you follow the trail of like the donations. It's just going to people's election campaigns and stuff like that. So it's like, is what I'm doing really helping? And I keep saying, like, let's try and help out in our communities, like whether that's in our house, whether that's in our local areas. Let's help out where we can see the difference we're making, rather than giving our money to anonymous charities or causes that we don't really know what they're about, and they may or may not have sinister intentions. And I don't know as much to say that exactly what intention the BLM movement has, but I know that if it's something that's not easy to make sense of straight away, like, I don't want to be on board with it. Like, for me, if I don't understand it well enough, I just don't want to be a part of it. Yeah.
And I think what I've learned as well, like, during this whole thing, is that the most important thing to people, especially like in Western society, is money. Like, money is money and power. Like, people would exploit you for money and power. And I think when it comes to race, especially, like, when it gets to like a certain level, people, if you can offer someone something that's gonna give them money or power, then they don't even like care what race you are. Like, race isn't a thing. Like, power and money is what people like, what people truly care about. And that's just an observation that I've made, like, throughout the last few months.
Exactly, because you look at some, I don't know, will like Jay-Z be treated in the same way as just some random kid from
exactly
probably not, because he's got stages, like he's got money, power and influence.
Exactly.
That's what money, power gives you. That's the biggest thing, like influence. Like when you go online and people have opinions, like the whole idea behind it is that people can like it and share it. That gives you influence. You're a social media influencer. So if you're someone of some status, whatever level, like that's what a lot of people desire. So I think people like to be in camps where a lot of other people agree with them, and there's like social media ends up being like a poor form of choice for like having a reasonable discourse and conversation about sensitive topics, because I can say, pizza I don't know, pineapple pizza is nice. Oh, how could you do that? Like, you kill okay, I didn't say all people
Yeah.
have to like it. So it's very, you have to, and it's hard to convey tone through text. And
You know, another thing I've noticed, a real issue with like, you know, having these discussions on social media is that people put their own biases onto what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I could say something, like you can see my words there, and because maybe I haven't said something else, you're like inferring something that I just haven't said. Only because I said this thing, you're saying that because I said this thing, that then means this other thing.
I like running. Yeah. Oh, so what about people that have one leg?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I feel like people are making like leaps and jumps. It's like, no, like sometimes just take it for what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Like
the reaches are mad.
Yeah, I'm not saying that people don't like, I don't know, like have ulterior motives or like they're saying something and like they could mean something else, but like for the most part, just take it for what it is.
Yeah,
and
we don't know. We just don't know.
Exactly. And I think people need to, like, if you're only talking about race and like social issues on the internet, then you're doing it wrong, because you're never gonna have like a proper conversation on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram about the actual issues that happen in society, you know, like
speak to people in your workplace. Like if you're feeling like, oh, there's discrimination or you want something to change, like let's try and have these conversations and make things happen, rather than, I can't say like, I hate people that just, no, I don't hate people, but I really dislike when people just feel the need to complain about something that they're not taking any action towards trying to resolve. And I'm not saying, oh, go and be a freedom fighter, go and march. You don't have to do certain things, but you just try to make steps to improve your quality of life and like the treatment of people around you.
What is the thing? Because like people put so much emphasis on like posting something on their Instagram. So like something's happening in the world and I haven't said anything on my Instagram or Facebook or Twitter about it. People are like saying, why haven't you, like, you see with celebrities, like,
I almost fell into that trap as well. Like, I remember when around the George Floyd killing, I was very emotional as well, because it was a traumatic thing to just even watch. And it's like, okay, why are people not saying anything about it? Like, if they're not going to say like, okay, I felt like, oh yeah, these people, at least these people are cool because they spoke about these people. It's like, no, like everyone doesn't have to come out straight away and give and chime in. And in some respects, like their opinion doesn't matter right now. Like the thing is the thing, and like your opinions, we can go back and forth all day on what's right and wrong. A man is dead. Like you posting like one thing as, I don't know, like a black square or whatever, is like, and even I posted it as well, but I didn't necessarily think that someone not posting it is a bad thing. Like, let's just be reasonable. Let's not just like throw stones, basically. I think this is why I try to anyway just leave, especially my Instagram, I just try and leave it to, I don't know, funny memes or like posting like my photography and stuff. I try not to, you know, speak out on like race or social. I mean, I've done it before, but like I try not to delve too deep into that, because I'll happily talk about it, but I'd much rather have a discussion like this, or you know, just not have it on social media, because you just can't have like proper conversations on social media. Not until I release my platform 2022. Watch out for it, man. No, honestly, I'm thinking about doing something like that, because I think it's too easy for everyone to come online. Obviously, a lot of it comes down to like spreading false information as well. So people make a post with like a caption and a picture on it, and all of a sudden it's a fact. So we really need to be able to fact check information and have like reasonable discussions on a platform where people can be like, you know, it's a person on the other end of it. There's not like try and reduce like the trolling where people are just able to come on and create like egg accounts and just spout nonsense. And
you know, I think it's going back to like people judging you for like not speaking out or saying something. Like it's sad to think that someone could be doing the most in like their community or like in actual society in terms of like fighting some sort of like social cause, but just because they didn't say anything on their social media, people are gonna like jump on them and like berate them for doing that. It's like, what are you actually doing? You know, like
that's the thing. Like if you choose not to be part of that game, then it doesn't even matter to you. So if this comes out and people are posting backlash about me on Twitter, do I really care? No. If it actually starts affecting like my bottom line, it starts affecting like my paycheck, it starts affecting like my friends and family, then maybe I'll be like, oh damn, like this is like something that I might need to have further conversation and discussion about. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't care what someone in wherever they are, I don't care what they think necessarily about what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think now people have like a sense of like self-righteousness about them. Like people think that their morals are correct, and if anyone doesn't think the way I think, then they're automatically like a bad person. When it's like, obviously the world doesn't work like that. Nothing is like black and white. Obviously there's like stuff in between, you know, like you can have different opinions, but it doesn't mean like everyone is good or everyone is bad. Like you can talk about them and like have discussions about them without having to like demonize the other person. And like it's become like politics has become like a really, really like dirty
I told
game.
you I followed I just started following because all my life obviously I've grown up mostly around more liberal thinking people and like left-wing thoughts and ideas, and that shaped my biases to some degree. So I'm trying to level that out. I'm not saying I have to agree with everything on both sides, I don't, but I've followed a lot more maybe conservative leaning people in recent years, and I'm just trying to understand like thoughts and process and break out of because like, even that thing that that Joe Biden interview in Charlemagne that everyone got riled up about.
I think
it's very
I think if you consider yourself a real like person who wants like social justice and wants to do good in the world, I think you almost have to be able to look at things from different perspectives, and you almost have to like listen to people that maybe have different views to you. I think because also the thing about it as well is like you can't go through life living in an echo chamber. You can't go through life like surrounding yourself with people that just agree with you all the time. Because like you're not gonna grow as a person. You're not gonna learn anything new. Like you have to have people out there that like challenge your ideas. And like I wrote a post about this as well. Like if you meet someone that has different views to you and they challenge your ideas and your ideas stack up and you believe in even more, then that's great. Or if someone meets you, they're different views to you, and maybe your views like slightly change, that's also great. Like there's nothing wrong with like listening to people that maybe have a different opinion. And I think we need to get out of this mindset that if you have a different opinion, then you're a bad person or you think this way. Like I'm not saying
people just have to be willing to listen in the first place. I think that's what it boils down to. Like we're all spouting opinions. We just go on, we tweet, we post, we blog, but we don't listen sometimes. And I'm trying to work on becoming a better listener and not just jumping in. If I don't agree with something I see someone's posting, I scroll past it.
Yeah, exactly.
If I continuously see someone posting stuff I don't agree with and it's affecting me to the point where I feel that okay, I need to address this. Guess what? I don't have to see this person's view.
Exactly.
I feel like we get riled up by things we don't have to.
You don't have.
We've got 24 hours in the day, you know, and you're there on your phone getting mad about someone in.
I mean, come back to the point. Is like in the grand scheme of things, for the most part, like the average person out there, your opinion doesn't actually matter. You know, like your opinion, especially like opinions you're spouting on Twitter and stuff. Like you said, like it's easy just to unfollow someone or like block someone. Like you don't have to be like listening to this. Like these person's opinions don't have to like affect you personally. Like, you know, obviously like it's a different story when you're talking about people who are actually like making like real decisions in the world. Like, and if you like do disagree with them, then actually that may be a problem for you. But one of the things I wanted to do as well, because like obviously when the most recent election happened in the UK, obviously like, at that point I was like very like anti-Tory and like pro-Labour. Not to say that I'm pro-Tory now, I'm definitely not pro-Tory, but I came to like, I had this epiphany. I was like, I'm seeing everyone slate Conservatives, but we need to remember that the majority of people in this country voted for Tories. So I'm like, there must be something out there that the Tories are offering to people that's good. So like I took upon myself to like go out there and actually like research like what they're doing, and actually it can kind of be like liberating to you to like, actually see and actually like listen to the opinions of like Conservatives, and you'd be like, oh okay, like maybe my view on this was like slightly skewed, or maybe I had like a slightly like biased opinion on this, and like you can still like disagree, but
challenge yourself to try and understand things rather than just being spoon-fed.
Exactly. Exactly.
Good campaigns can be very divisive now. They just like say, oh, they're going to take the NHS or they're going to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I said, like I feel like recently race has been used as a tool a lot more in the run-up to. We've got a US election coming up in November, and like I feel like maybe a lot of left-leaning in people and like the Democratic Party is using some of these issues as a divisive way to try and get people on their side. But I really dislike pandering, and I think people should just make decisions based on what's good for them. I said to you yesterday, like, if you told me, I voted for, I don't know, if you had a good reason to vote for UKIP, and that's what you wanted to, I'm not gonna. I'll look at you a bit like, oh damn, like that's a bit strange, like for certain reasons. But then that's your decision. You have the. It's all about freedom at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You asked me what I liked about uni. The best thing for me is freedom, and like I just love freedom in it holistically, and that people being able to express their views and opinions without like fear of like, oh, you get kicked out of this community or reprisal. Obviously, if your opinions and views are of hatred and that's like. That needs to be addressed. Like, you can't be calling people the N-word or like some people like the Asian people like P words and stuff like that. It's not right. And that should not be a basis.
Even then, like, obviously I'm not saying that that's okay, but even then, I feel like there still needs to be space for even those people, for you to be like having conversations with them as well. Like, obviously it's so easy. It's like, obviously when someone says something like hateful, like you want to like cancel that person and like demonize them. Like, and like I totally understand that. But I think even for these people, there needs to be like still some space for you to be like able to
I agree, because then it becomes hypocritical if we say, oh, people that carry knives should just like all go to jail. They're all bad.
Exactly.
Like what? Like a lot of the time, I want to understand
why what causes it.
Situation.
Why do you believe
that's the only real way we can change that. We need to have rehabilitation and not just like condemnation of things and people. Like these ideas get passed down. No one's born racist. No one's born with these ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's mad.
One thing I want to discuss actually with you is the idea of white privilege. Like, obviously, there's a lot of memes and a lot of like, you know, literature and a lot of, you know, just people posting stuff about how white privilege is such a huge issue, and how it's like negatively affecting like black people, and you see it everywhere. Like, what are your views on white privilege? Like, there are a lot of people out there that say it doesn't even exist. So what are your views in it on white privilege?
It's a concept. So
do you believe in it?
I don't know how to answer that question. I think that I'll give a comparison as well. I was reading about the New Zealand shooter that shot people in the mosque, in two mosques, and killed like 50 people or something, 48 people. And it was saying like, oh yeah, he's a white supremacist. And then I started thinking, does white supremacy exist? Like, is it real? Is it like the concept of it is real? Like, people believe in, if someone believes in white supremacy, they may take the actions to defend that, in this case done something horrific. If someone believes in white privilege, they may take the actions to try and dismantle that because they believe it exists. I don't know if I don't know, it's tough. Like, we live in a white country in the UK. It's an English country. The majority of people are white. So when I look at roles and companies and I see that the majority of people are white, I can't necessarily be mad at that fact in and of itself. Saying that, I do believe that we shouldn't force diversity for the sake of it. I believe there are a lot of capable people of different colours and genders and just backgrounds that could and should be in roles that they are not able to attain because of some certain levels of, and I don't think it's sort of even a racist thing. It's just like, I've got this, why would I give this up if I'm holding the cards, sort of thing. One example I can give you is mortgages, because me and my wife are looking for a house right now, and we're not locked out of buying, we're getting a mortgage. Of course we can do it. There's no blocker apart from like your credit and how much deposit you have saved, right? They're not saying, oh, you can't get this mortgage because you're black, or at least to my knowledge. I don't know what's happening in the background. But one thing that I was asked by the advisor was, oh, do you have any is some of your deposit coming from like gifts and donations from family? And I thought, I don't know any black people that are getting gifted mortgage donations from family. And so that just that in itself, sorry, I know I'm going around the houses here, but I'm just trying to formulate it before. So that just kind of showed me that, oh, we're set back. So my grandparents came, I'm only second generation born here, and so it's like I'm lower on the pecking order in terms of I'm starting the race later than you. Okay. I don't have as much resource and network as you to get that now. I don't blame any particular person. It's a systematic thing where it's not.
But is it
equal? But nowhere in the world is like equal. But is that privilege?
Yeah, but isn't it a bit disingenuous to say that that's white privilege? Because aren't there?
I'm not saying that's white privilege. I'm just saying that
okay,
that is something that is like a setback for people of a particular class.
Yeah. Well, let me give you my thoughts. Like,
I'm dancing around it because I really don't know.
No, yeah,
I don't really want to say yes or no on just in general because it's something that I think about a lot.
No, yeah, and I've thought about this a lot
because I know white people that are in my situation, and I know black people that are like got loads of money. I know white people got loads of money. I know white people that don't. So
I think that there is white privilege does exist in a sense, but like I don't think it exists in the way that a lot of people are kind of like portraying the way they exist. And these are just like my opinions. Like I may be wrong, I may be right. Like this is just how I see it. So when I think about like the privileges that white people have, like obviously the biggest privilege that I can think of like white people have is like obviously that white people aren't experiencing as much racism as a person of color is. Like that's just like a given fact. Yeah. Like especially obviously when you live in like a white majority country, like that's fine. Like and the thing about that is like white people can't help that. It's not like
it's not it's not a thing point that say, oh, you're doing this. It's just exists as a matter of fact that the other thing exists. Yeah, that's sorry, continue.
No, yeah, but that's the way it is. It's like in that sense, like it's a privilege for white people to like not experience as much racism as a black person would. Like, and that's just the way it is. As I saying, like you live in a white majority country, that's just the way it goes, and like totally fine. But I think that it's been classed as like much more broader concept. Mm-hmm. But I actually think there are other privileges in life that are more important than white privilege. So for example, socioeconomic privilege. Mm-hmm. If you are born into like a wealthy family, that is a much bigger privilege. Like you can be like a rich black person and you're way better off than especially in this country, than a poor white person. Yeah, like that's the fact. Of course.
The class is the biggest divider.
Yeah, exactly. There's able body privilege. Being born into a body that's you have like no kind of like disabilities. Obviously, you have a lot less to think about. Like if you're in a wheelchair, then you have to think about, oh, does this place have like wheelchair access? Or if you have like specific like dietary requirements, you can't eat certain foods, and like every time you go out to a restaurant, you have to think about, oh, is there going to be like meals for me to eat?
I guess you're just thinking of it in terms of blessings. There, I'm blessed to have a able body. I'm blessed to have a UK passport. That's like passport privilege is real.
Well,
like,
passport
privilege is real. I have to wait in visa lines of her for ages, and just like, but we both like it's just So,
and I think I agree. I think all those are much more important than white privilege. I think like I'd much rather be a rich black person than like a poor white person. You know, I
think most people would.
I think most people would agree with that too. Like. And I think when you dilute it down to like it's a matter of race, I just think it's a bit disingenuous.
And that's what rubs people up the wrong way because they feel like, oh, but I'm white and I'm not. Yeah, don't have any advantage.
Exactly, that's what people are saying. Like,
so then, like, why? What is it?
Exactly.
Like, why are you?
Exactly. Like, and the things like when people say that, it's not about the skin color. They have like other things that are in their way. Like I said, like socio-economic stuff and maybe able body privilege and all that kind of thing. Like, it isn't just about your skin color. Like, to say that, and as I was saying, like, there is a sense of white privilege, as I was saying, like in terms of like racism and stuff. But also, would you say that there are some black privileges? Do you think black people have some privileges in this country? Or as a person with black skin, like are there certain? I can think of actually one privilege that I have.
I like the fact that sometimes maybe just I don't know what goes through your heads, but when I used to get the coach like back to London from uni, sometimes I'll just sit in one seat and get the other seat to myself because I'm not like the most. Maybe my face just looks miserable when I'm out. But I'm not the most desired person to like sit next to or whatever. And it's like, okay, now I've got more space just by a matter of fact. And it's like, okay, I get to. In some ways, I get some form of respect or some sort of people think like, oh, this guy, he's just cool, whatever. Whereas like a lot of my hobbies are quite nerdy. I like playing games, like reading, like manga, like doing so. But it's like, okay, like the way I just conduct myself, people in those settings, people look up to me and like, oh yeah, this guy's like cool and chill. Yeah. I'm just like, if I was white, maybe people would just think, oh, this guy's just like a neat. I don't know.
Can I give you the privilege of black people that I've taken for granted all these years? And I think it's a significant one that I always think about now. and it's like it's strictly like on a biological level. It's not like a society thing.
I thought you were going to say seasoning.
No, it's just like a biology thing. Like, because obviously the fact that if you have a darker skin complexion, you have more melanin in your skin.
Yeah.
The fact that like you're less likely to like get burnt by the sun.
Yeah.
And that's something I think about a lot. Like, because when I go out, obviously like everyone should be wearing sunscreen, but it's something that I don't have to like think about as much as like a pale white person, you know, like they can get burnt up like mad quick. But as a black person, it's like, oh, I'll go in the sun, and it's like, I don't have to worry about getting. Obviously, like black people do get sunburn, and you should wear sunscreen all the time. But like, it's not something that you have to think about as much as like a pale white person. Like any kind of sun that comes out, they're like, oh, I'm burnt, you know. And I think that's like, obviously, it's not a massive thing, but it's still like an example of like a privilege like a black person may have over a white person, you know, like
don't have to beef the sun.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like obviously, like I was saying, like it's a small thing, but I think when you're talking about privileges, there are all kinds of privileges, and it's a much wider conversation than this to say because you're white, you're more privileged than a black person.
Yeah,
like,
I just look at. I don't like the word privilege in general. You know, I just look at things like as blessings. So like, I'm thankful to be blessed to be able to not have to think about this or like if something like. Yeah, just look at things spin things in a positive way, and don't play the victim. Don't make everything a hardship, because then it makes your life harder, and you don't think about ways to win. You just think about how you're losing all the time. One thing you mentioned is like, white privilege as a byproduct of just not being discriminated against as much. I think that's a good analogy would be that cold doesn't exist. Cold is just absence of heat.
Yeah.
So the fact that heat exists kind of means that this concept of cold exists. So the fact that these things such as discrimination, wealth, income, race, and all these things exist is more like a disadvantage for some people makes an advantage for others.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't think about that actually. That's a good point. So that last podcast kind of got cut short because we had to like leave. But I just wanted to kind of wrap it up and just come back to the fact that I think we all need to be open to having honest dialogues and conversations about race. Me or no don't speak for every black person. Those are just our thoughts and our opinions, and obviously other black people are going to see things completely differently to how we see them, and that is like totally fine. That is totally okay. That's the reason why the movement is happening, and that's why these conversations do need to be happening. And again, one thing that we discussed in that podcast was that you can't have real conversations about these social issues all online. Like you can't have a decent conversation with someone over Twitter or over Instagram or over Facebook. You do need to actually sit down and talk to people in real life, because those are where the real ideas and the real thoughts and the real opinions of people are going to come out. And it was just a real eye-opening conversation for me personally. It's been a conversation for society for like the past few months. I mean, like it's always been a conversation in society, but it's been really amplified in the past few months or so. And this was just a real opportunity for me to actually sit down with someone and talk about it, because I haven't actually done that since the whole movement started. So it was nice for that to happen. And one thing I want to reiterate about this podcast is that I'm always open to being challenged with my ideas. I'm always open for people having different opinions, and I'm always open for people to coming on and talking to me about them, no matter what your opinion is. And that's just one thing I want to make clear with this. So yeah, I hope you liked the first episode, and I really do hope to bring you more in the near future.